2018 was a year with two really strong contestants for Anime of the Year. We had Season 3 of Attack on Titan come out, which for anime-only watchers blew their goddamn mind harder than the manga readers getting to see the scenes they knew were coming being animated.
Judging when to use it and on whom will be your responsibility. Quite soon, this tiny world of ours will be changed.
There's something deeper at work here. If our questions get specific, we'll risk giving them information they didn't have in the first place.
They're bringing this fight out into the open.
No one knows who to trust at this point.
Nobody knows a thing about this world. Not us or anyone else.
Can't tell you the whole story because I don't know it.
Who do you guys think that it is we're fighting against?
I'll show you where it all began.
As of now, it's not just Titans.
Is everyone here ready? Because you're all about to dirty your hands.
We're fighting humans too.
My moral high ground shot to hell. I have no idea who's in the right at this point.
No one's in the wrong here. There was nothing to be done. I know you aren't devils. Even so, you can't be permitted to live.
It's your turn.
Humanity is on a new path. One far more dangerous than the last.
Best of luck.
You'll always be my dear comrades, right up until I've killed you. This world is just that cruel. But it's over now.
It's our side or theirs now. We can let the Titans crush us, or bring them crashing down. We will be free!
We had no choice in all this.
Is this the place?
There's something else about this place. It feels familiar somehow. The stairs to the cellar are beneath this door.
Gegege is a human who came from outside the walls.
Will you curse him too now?
Your father wasn't evil.
This child isn't like you. Please don't get involved. I cursed my own foolishness.
Hurry, Faye! If we're not fast, we'll miss it!
But because I've already chosen Attack on Titan as the Anime of the Year for 2013, I can't choose it again, unfortunately. Even so, I kinda wanna break my own rule and give it to Attack on Titan Season 3 because Wit Studio did such a good job at adapting the manga. You know what didn't hit as hard? Every single adaptation of any Junji Ito work into animation. And with the release of Uzumaki in 2024, can animation studios finally realize you will never be able to convert panels of art into frames of animation to the level that makes Ito's work so revered for what it is, because you will never be able to allot the budget or time that is needed to do so. If you want to make an Ito adaptation as impactful as the manga version, you're going to need to put years of funding, time and work into creating something that could potentially recreate an essence fraction of what the manga does, as evidenced by the Ito collection, which takes these beautiful panels of art and squishes it down to a flat piece of animation that just lacks any depth or impact of the original piece. Please stop trying to adapt Ito's work into anime. Some things you just can't do, and that's fine. Accept it. It doesn't make you a failure of an animator. It means you acknowledge the limitations of media, and to try and turn Ito's work into anime after all the other failures puts you on a massive egotistical pedestal. If they can't do it, what makes you think you can? Just be happy with who you are. You're an animator. You can turn still panels into living worlds, and some worlds can't be adapted, but the ones you can create, go ahead, be happy with that. You know what else in this series that talks about being happy with who you are and accepting that? It's Gegege no Kitarou. Yes, I know how it's pronounced, but YouTube will block my video worldwide if I say the correct way of saying it 3 times in a row. You gotta love YouTube, don't you? Gegege no Kitarou is a series about a half-human, half-yokai who seeks to keep the balance between the two worlds. With the series brought into a modern day, having the very first episode be about an obnoxious, self-absorbed social media influencer in Japan doing anything for views, causing a commotion and being disrespectful to the locals when suddenly he transforms into a Jabuku tree, a yokai that is created when a tree feeds on enough human blood. I wonder if Japan was specifically making this episode in reference to anything. Because, you know, this anime came out in 2018 and nothing at all related to an obnoxious, self-absorbed, pathetic social media influencer in Japan that had anything to do with trees and yokai happened at all in Japan in that year, did it? Low-key, I actually fucking love this. Go Japan, go animations, call out these twats. This series is pure social commentary.
俺が主役なのになんでお前が主役みたいな面してんだよ
僕はただ自分が好きなことを全身全霊で楽しんでいるだけですよ。
自分らしく精一杯小豆を研いで身の回りの人を笑顔にするかけがえのない仲間と一緒にそれが俺の幸せだって気づいたんで
一番必要なのは何かわかるかお互い相手を尊重して理解しようとすることじゃよ
人間の子よどの世界にも犯してはならぬ掟があるしかしまだ世の断りさえわからぬ子供ゆえに許そう
これに懲りたら心を入れ替えて
謝んないとか信じらんないネットにさらしてやる
因果応報という言葉を知っているかあなたはそういった人たちを助けたことがありましたかウェイからのフェイ
誰だって最初から好きなことが見つかっているわけではない自分の居場所を作るためもがき続けていくうちいつか自分が何を好むかも分かってくるはずじゃよ
And I have to recommend Gaijin Goomba's videos on the series because he is far more knowledgeable on Japan and he can put it into better words than I ever could. Gegege, I hate to have to say that, is one of the fighters for Anime of the Year 2018 because goddamn does it definitely deserve it. The other anime that deserves Anime of the Year is I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. Despite sounding ghoulish, this movie is actually a really beautiful story about a young girl living with a terminal illness and how she chooses to live her life knowing how finite it is. I've watched this movie multiple times, I'd say even several. I genuinely love this movie. I have read the manga as many times, if not more. But even still, there is a section of the manga that about 10 pages before it shows up, I can feel the lump in my throat and my eyes start to water. No matter how many times I read this or watch it, I Want to Eat Your Pancreas has such beautiful panel art that it still hits me and it still breaks me and I fucking love it. Gegege is a masterpiece for the social commentary it has, but it's also a massive series of nearly 100 episodes. I Want to Eat Your Pancreas is one just under 2 hour long film that will give you a roller coaster of an experience where each time you think it can't hit you any harder, along comes another punch, which is why I'm giving this year a special loophole. Gegege is my anime of the year, but I Want to Eat Your Pancreas is my anime movie of the year. However, have you ever wondered what happens after you eat a pancreas? What happens as it moves through your body? How does it break down? How does it get digested? What is the nutrients you get from it? And where does that nutrients go?
Inside every single human body, 37.2 trillion cells are working hard every day to maintain a healthy, effective system.
Are you guys all right? We brought the cavalry!
This is a red blood cell. This is a white blood cell. These are platelets. Naive T cell, B cell, the antibody-producing cell, eosinophil's primary job. Basophil, a type of white blood cell. Helper T cells, memory cell, regulatory T cells, mast cell, commonly known as a fat cell, natural killer cells, dendritic cells, thymic epithelial cells, cancer cells.
White blood cell goes on patrol in order to spot the intruders. Macrophage relays information on anyone they find. With that information, Commander Helper T can make decisions. And the Killer T's go in to finish the job.
I can find out!
No!
Cells at Work is an edutainment piece of media about the inside of a human body that is both highly entertaining while also being highly educational, and teaches people what happens when you get a scrape, bump, or hedge injury, which is an important thing to know, especially if you're a boxer, and especially if you're boxing with augmentations, such as in Megalo, where a certain dumbass decided to enter a fight without any augmentations, but solely relies on his own human strength.
If you're hard up or a cheap ass, you bet on dogs. But if you've some cash to spare, even a little, you bet on people.
Megalo Boxing fuses athleticism with innovative gear technology to create the future of boxing. Today, I unveil the long-held dream of my grandfather, the Megalo Box Tournament, known as Megalonia. The tournament begins in 3 months. Who will end up being the rightful champion?
I told you, I'm sick and tired of throwing these damn fights.
No one wants a boxer in the ring so good he makes the odds one-sided. No matter how good the gear is or how cutting edge it may be, it's not what makes or breaks a fight. It always comes down to the guy wearing it. Remember that.
Without the gear, you're no boxer. Show me what true Megalo Boxing's about. I'll take on anybody, including you. Dying doesn't bother me. Not when I'm having this much fun. Not after he showed me what's out there.
After reviewing IMA Megalobox regulations, nothing was found that prohibits fighting without gear. Thus, the match will proceed as planned according to the standard rules. Gearless Joe!
I can feel something deep down inside me. Something electric.
Though brain injuries aren't always physical, sometimes they're the result of prolonged psychological trauma from exposure to time travel and having to relive the same experience so many times you can no longer remember what the original series of events were, or what reality itself even is anymore. And by sometimes, I mean very rarely. But I still have 2 nickels.
Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?
Steins Gate Zero is such an interesting piece of the Steins Gate universe, as the entire series, which takes place over literal decades, also technically takes place within the span of about 2.5 minutes of the original series, which in itself takes place over essentially an infinite amount of loops, which ultimately took place within the span of a fraction of a second, depending on how you look at time. And as far as video game adaptations go, Steins Gate has the gold standard of doing so. Especially back in the 2010s when you look at all the Western adaptations of video games. Nowadays we're getting some really good video game adaptation series, or series just set within the universe of the game, such as Twisted Metal. I know it's not an anime, I just wanted to recommend it though because it's a really good and well written series and I've been binging it recently. Check it out. However, returning back to 2018, 2 other video game adaptations we had were Persona 5 and Angel of Death. The Persona franchise is a massive Atlus property, and yeah, the anime is pretty good. I really enjoy the games. Persona 4 is my personal favourite, and I think the anime does a really good job of following the linear aspect of the story. However, one of the biggest features of the Persona games is time management, where unless you really know what you're doing, or have already played the game through multiple times, you will not have enough time to do everything in the game. And that's the very nature of the feature. You can bond or romance certain characters, but in doing so it means you spend less time with other characters. And this was a massive part of the game of choosing which skills you wanted to bond the most. However, the anime falls into the version of and they all lived happily ever after and there was enough time to build all the bonds with all the characters branch. Which, I understand. Any Persona game will take you anywhere from 60 to upwards of 100 hours to beat, whereas the anime only has 8 hours to tell the full story. Unlike Angel of Death, which had 5 hours to tell 7.5 hours worth of gameplay. I don't think this series was amazing. It's pretty good junk food anime. I would say Angel of Death is the new experimental brand that the official brand has brought out. The ones you look at and go, ah, that's a interesting twist on the familiar. Angel of Death is a fine piece of media, but I do think it's amazing on the grounds that the original Angel of Death is a video game made in RPG Maker, developed by one guy, released in 2015. And less than 3 years later, it had an entire anime adaptation. That's awesome. And genuinely, watch the anime. I think it is fine, but it's a really, I don't know how I feel about this anime really, actually. It's a really good, fine piece of media. Like I said, it's kind of the experimental, seasonal sweets created by the official brand where they're just releasing them because we want to try something new, we want to see if this works. If it works, okay. If it doesn't work, okay, we just cancel it. But if it works, fantastic. It's great, it's fine, it's fantastic. I just think it's super cool that someone that made a game got an entire anime based around their single indie game less than 3 years later. That's around the same time it took to animate all of Season 1 of Demon Slayer. Speaking of which, check out this video here to hear about Demon Slayer and a bunch of other animes released in 2019.